All right, good afternoon. Let's get started here. So the main overview is that the latest updates with Hurricane Dorian are coming in with increasing threats and intensity. It could impact portions of north and central Georgia by early next week. I'll show you some uh, best ideas on initial timing here in a few slides, but just keep that in mind. It would be pretty much starting after Monday when we could see changes with everything. It's expected to basically slow or stall across portions of the region beyond its initial landfall, which it looks pretty certain it's going to have some portion of the eastern Florida peninsula at some point on Monday, perhaps Monday morning. So we could see these impacts starting mainly, in our central portion of Georgia by sometime on Monday, and then it could linger or expand across the area. There's a lot of uncertainty with this part as we go Tuesday through Thursday. Here's the 11 a.m. update, and as of 11 a.m. it had maximum sustained winds of 85, moving northwest at 13. Within less than a day here, it is expected to reach a major category intensity, which is Cat 3 or higher. As it moves farther north, it does have more of a west component to it that is going to be steered more towards the coastline of East Florida. And the latest update did have it slightly higher intensity at a minimal Cat 4, which is very, very powerful. And that's sustained winds at 130 miles per hour upon landfall. The main point, though, is that there's going to be this initial landfall, and then the bigger uncertainty is going to be what's right after that, because it does slow down, and the models, as I'll show you here in a second, there's quite a bit of spread as to how quickly it starts to make its northward to northeast turn. But we are expecting that this turn to be in that Monday through Thursday period. So pretty much you see how the cone of uncertainty there widens out. There is a lot of uncertainty with that. So there's some solutions that I'll show you here. These are all different runs of this GFS model, and keep in mind this is a conglomeration of different model solutions of just the GFS. There's, of course, the Canadian, the European. Then once we get in the short term, there's the NAM model that we look at too. And then there's other types of models out there that are more honed in on, the dynamics of a hurricane. But if we look at this, you can see as after it makes that initial landfall, there's a whole bunch of different solutions. I believe the one in black is pretty much the average across them. So if you went by the average, it would have some portion coming across central or eastern Georgia. And one of our forecasters just updated us right before the briefing that the latest run of this model does have it a bit more east of where the average would be on this. So it could make its turn close to the Georgia coastline and then go up near the eastern Carolinas. So yesterday, I think it was actually farther west from where the average was on this. So again, we just want you aware of what could happen with this beyond Monday. Right now, we're going to advertise all the main three inland threats from this, but keep in mind that the Georgia coastline could be an issue with surge also. But as far as wind, flooding, rain, and tornado threats, we're going to include all three at this point. If there's a farther westward track with a system, the tornado threats would increase. If there's a more centralized track with everything, then of course the flooding rain would be a bigger concern, especially if it really slows down. So timing on the far right, we're including as early as Monday for central Georgia, and then Tuesday, Thursday, it could expand some threats across the rest of north and central Georgia. So again, here's just a pictorial reference of the previous slide with the different threats. We're putting the confidence level right now. It's the initial briefing with everything. It's going to be more on that low end, but expect that confidence with each day to be increasing with some track consensus and increased threat with everything. But this is kind of our starter point right now, given what we're all the spread of what we're looking at. The latest satellite imagery, it's going through some what we think is intensification. You can see some of the brighter reds on the eastern side. With some of the heating of the day, that's been flaring up, and actually the storms themselves in the overnight period tend to have kind of a flare up too. And so what we saw earlier today was that around where that eye wall was, it looked like it was getting a little bit better organization. So it is expected to gain more organization and intensify as it moves northwest, and the northwest to west direction shift after the next couple of days. It does look rather compact, rather small as far as the aerial extent of it. It is expected, well, it's kind of hard to really figure out if it's going to expand or not, but I just want to make you aware that it could become a bigger storm with time. It could expand its wind field and actual overall size, but the size of the storm itself doesn't exactly mean the impacts are going to be any different with it. It just, how far out some of the wind field is going to be. Here is the tropical storm force wind speed probabilities. I want to point out that even in the latter part of this, the 5-day part of this product, is that it does put central Georgia in a 10 to 30% chance. So, and that's just the initial chance here. So it could actually increase or expand farther north as time goes forward with the updates here. So here's a slide to show you the most likely arrival time of tropical storm force winds or higher. So you see the Monday 8 a.m. It could be as close to the far southeast Georgia near the coastline. And then there's a little bit more uncertainty, of course. Does it go farther west? Does it stall? Does it move more northward? But key point is it could be any time after Monday. Here's a hurricane force wind speed probabilities. Again, I mean, it's really early right now. The greatest chances right now remain south of the area, but as this system goes farther with updates, I'm sure at some part of Georgia is probably going to be included in some aspect of these probabilities. Rainfall, again, a lot of uncertainty. You can kind of see how the two zones along the coastline, there could be maximum rain, and then that southwestern Georgia has another maximum, which could be close to 2 inches or higher. Now this goes out through Wednesday, so if it does stall, then it's going to have to be including the next iteration of the 7-day forecast here. So point is, it's likely to increase with time, but currently it's showing 1 to 2 inches across portions of central Georgia. The flood threat, I think, will be increasing as we go forward with these updates, because the key thing with that storm is that at some point it will be slowing down, and whatever direction it takes, whether that's more to the west or more to the north and east, there's going to be a turn that happens with it, which likely means a lot of additional rainfall. Again, here's the key points we're going to be watching with all the different updates coming up here, but we do think that there's an increasing chance that some parts of our area will have impacts. Again, we're going to dissect the impacts and chances as we go forward with this. If we start to see any impacts, it could be after Monday, and then also linger through Thursday, given any timing changes. All right, the next briefing will be tomorrow at the same time, 12:30. I put the slides at that link there, and I also did there should be a PDF of the handout on this webinar. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact us.